Good morning, I'm Nigel Croft and this is TA for Traders on Monday the 6th of March. In this video we're going to be looking at the Asian indices. So we'll be looking at the four major indices in Asia: the Nikkei 225, the Seng, the Shanghai Composite and the Australian 200 index. So let's move on. And starting with the Nikkei, you can see that last week, if you remember, I drew these lines of a triangulation pattern that I was seeing. We did have a break above the upper channel on Wednesday, but actually that created a hammer. We had a move up, and we had a long body, a long upper section, a small body at the bottom, a hammer shape on the candlestick, which is a negative sign. And as you can see, we've pulled back into the triangulation below that upper boundary. I won't redraw it. I'll keep it as it is. It's still valid. You can also see that we're back to the 20-day. The 20-day you can't see it on there, but it's right virtually where the market is, or 20 points below the market. And the 50-day is now moving sideways given the move that we've had since December. On the RSI, we had the move up. It didn't go to a new high, which again a slight negative. Still slightly positive, 51.61, and the MACD giving no indication, just going sideways. I see this a continuation of this triangulation pattern. Maybe come down to test the lower boundary, which would be a good entry point. And likewise, if we go back above this week, that would be a good exit point. So really trade this range. Looking at the weekly, where you can't see you can see the triangulation. It is drawn on here, but it's in the wrong color. If I kind of highlight that, you can see the upper boundary coming through and then the lower boundary coming through there. But you can see it very clearly anyway. Good supports on the 20-week moving average here, which is at the 2380 level. RSI starting to slightly show negative momentum, although above 50, which is good. MACD rolling down, which indicates that the upside momentum has been lost. Looking at the support resistance levels on the Nikkei, got the immediate support 19002 and then 18812, and then on the resistance we've got that high from last week, 19684.6 and then 19696.8. On the Hang Seng, we've had a bit of a consolidation here last week. Slightly negative on the Thursday move, where it opened into the resistance and had no follow-through momentum, and then we had this long body on the candlestick which engulfed the previous day. That was a negative sign. We've now had a gap down to the downside and just about nearly filled it. So given that the RSI as well is indicative of negative momentum and the MACD are indicative negative momentum, you'd expect further consolidation. There is support 23.22 around that level, and then coming in with the 50-day at 23.098. So you would expect those supports to be tested. On the longer term, you can see that it failed to break above the resistance that had been seen from last August, September, and even though it touched the upper boundary of the Bollinger, failed to continue up on that upper boundary, bounced back down. You would expect it to come back down to these moving averages here, down at this level. We've got the 20-day and the 200-day. Starting at 22.926, so you would expect that pull back to that level. On the support resistance levels, I mean, the 50 days at 23.098 and the support above there is at 23.161, and then the resistance levels from last week 24.080.9. On the Australia 200 index, which we had been expecting a further consolidation, and we have seen that over the week. Very little move over the week. We're moving around these moving averages. They are giving support as they are moving upwards, but they're not moving up very strongly. A slight incline, and that's just giving the slight positive upside to the market. These will hold, hopefully. You are getting slight negative concerns coming through from the RSI, which is now down at 50.3, and the MACD, which is starting to roll down again. So we may see these supports tested through the week. Support coming in here, and then at this point here, which I'll show you in a second. So there is support on the downside, but you just kind of you buy the dips and sell any strong rallies like we saw last week on that day. On the longer term picture, you can see the resistance. If anything, it's because of what happened in 2015, in the first quarter of 2015 here. A lot of work was done around this level, and we've gone back into that, and that's what's causing the resistance. On the downside, you see the 20-week coming in on the longer term picture at 55.91. RSI on the move up last week, we had a non-confirmation, didn't reach a new high, drifting off. Expect that to come back lower, and the MACD are rolling. So the longer term picture as well starting to throw up a few warning signs. On the support resistance levels on the Aussie, we have resistance from last week 57.82, and then the supports at 56.75 and 55.79. Finally, moving on to China, where, as I've talked about on numerous weeks, we've got this continual, on the longer term, this is the 1 week chart, we've got this sideways move. If we could have a break to the upside, it would be very significant, as I've said on numerous occasions, and we would see a push up to the resistance at the 37.50 and the 4,000. A really long picture of a reverse head and shoulders, and you would if it did break, you'd expect a spike up here. But on the daily, there's no sign of that at the moment. The market just drifted off over last week, and just let me turn my cursor off. There we go. And drifted off last week, came back to support of the 20-day. 20 days holding in the short term, but given the picture on the RSI, a downtrending level there, which is indicative of downside momentum, MACD's rolled over. I would expect the 20-day not to hold. The next support comes in, there's immediate supports from the lows that we saw at the end of February, but below there we're looking at the 50-day, which is 3166.73. Just quickly show you those support resistances. As I said, the 50-day 3166.76 when I did this, which was about 10 minutes ago, so it does move. And then above there 3198.96. So that concludes the Asian Indices video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll be back tomorrow. Excuse me if I pressed the wrong thing. I hope you didn't see that. Not many people get through to the end of a video. But anyway, tomorrow I'll be back. And what do I look at tomorrow? I'll be looking at the currencies tomorrow. So I'll be looking at there'll be 2 videos tomorrow, the major currencies and the minor currencies. Thank you for watching. I've done 3 videos today. I hope you found them informative. They are for information only. I did the first video on the US indices, a second video on the European indices, and I've just completed that with this video on the Asian indices. Please do look at the disclaimer before you go somewhere else. Thank you.